Let's welcome Brother
Once again,
Billy from
I'm
Gung
so
Poi,
happy.
the past president of SSIU Malaysia and currently serving as central coordinator of SSIO Zone 4.1 countries comprising Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand to deliver his welcoming address. Over to you, Brother Billy.
On behalf of the organizers, I would like to warmly welcome all parents, educators, and participants to this online seminar titled Joy and Challenges of Parenting, Part 4. Parenting has always been one of life's greatest blessings, but also one of its greatest responsibilities. Every generation of parents experiences the joy of seeing their children grow, learn, and discover the world. At the same time, parenting brings challenges as we guide them through life. Today, in this digital era, parenting has entered a new dimension. Our children are growing up in a world shaped by technology, social media, and constant connectivity. Information is everywhere. Opportunities are immense, but so are the distractions and pressures. This is why the role of parents have become so more important, not only to provide for children, but to guide their character, values, and emotional strength. As Sati Sai Baba beautifully reminded us, the home is the first school for the child, and the parents are the first teachers. Children learn not only from what we say, but from how we live, from the love we show, the patience we practice, and the values we demonstrate in daily life. This seminar today provides us with a wonderful opportunity to reflect on how we can navigate the opportunities and challenges of parenting 4.0 while nurturing children who are not only intelligent but also kind, responsible, and compassionate human beings. I wish everyone an inspiring and enriching session. Thank you very much.
Now, let's invite the moderator, Sister Doreen Ong. Sister Doreen, by the chartered accountant who previously worked with two of the big four audit firms. After taking early retirement, she has been actively involved in community service, focusing on supporting widows, single mothers, and their children. She has also served as the State Ladies Coordinator, State Chinese Affairs Coordinator for Selangor, and was the Honorary Treasurer of the Sai School. We are very grateful to have her as our moderator today. So let's welcome Sister Doreen.
Thank you very much, Uma. Ladies and gentlemen, it's lovely to be back once again for the fourth talk in our series, Joys and Challenges of Parenting. And Uma, I must say, she is a first-class honors graduate in the Bachelor's of Psychology, and she was outstanding student during her convocation. So she won the Outstanding Award in her university. And she is also currently studying for her master's in clinical psychology. So she is the right person to be our MC today. Thank you very much, Uma. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I'm glad to see several of you, and I'm sure the others will be joining in shortly. Now, we are very happy to hold this program, partly because we always wanted to learn more, and among our members, we have many professionals. And so why not tap on to the knowledge that these professionals have in our community? So what made me decide to have this this particular talk on addressing mental health and anxiety issues came about when last year there was a very sad incident whereby a schoolboy stabbed a fellow schoolmate in the school. So it was very traumatizing for many, many of us. And you see, what is said is for both the families and all the children in the school and the teachers as well. Now, we are born in love and with love around us. But what happened to this boy? What's happening to the many children and teenagers and young adults these days? It is sad when we are not able and when they are not able to control their anger. Was it because of anger? Was it because of jealousy? Was there something more to it that has made this boy do something like that? We don't know. But perhaps together we can navigate and learn together so that we can keep our homes, our schools, a safer place. So today I've invited a panel of 3 speakers who in their individual right are professionals. And I'm so glad that they obliged us and was willing to come online with us today. So firstly, we have Dr. Sabbitan Balakrishnan. He has been with us over the last 3 talks that we had the year before and in 2024 to 2025. And then we have with us for the first time Anasuya Reddy, who is a lawyer by profession, but she's now a licensed counselor and she's great because I feel that she has so much to share today as well. And thirdly, we have none other than Dr. Anasuya Jagadesan. She's a licensed counselor. She was a former dean of a university, and she has a vast experience in dealing with teenagers, youth, adults, young adults. And so we have a wealth of experience among our speakers here today. So today, before we go further, I would like to welcome those of you who just joined in. I am very happy to see so many of you, and I'm sure there will be others who told me in the WhatsApp messages, which I couldn't read all, that they will be a bit late, either because they are traveling or they are on the way back home. So, okay, what are we here for today? So we want to learn. And with us, the first speaker is Dr. Sabbitan. He is a psychiatrist by profession, and he has held several programs for us. And I always enjoy listening to him because there's so much that we can learn. And with his wealth of experience, I would like to welcome Brother Dr. Sabbitan Balakrishnan. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, and Sairam, and welcome, Sister Doreen, and everyone here today. Let me just share my slides. All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful to be given this opportunity to return again and again to speak on pretty much. I wouldn't say the same thing, but it covers a very essential area. And this area is very important, especially for young parents and even so parents who have been struggling. And I see many of them in my clinic. And hopefully, from our discussion today, I would just consider this as a sharing. We can, to a certain extent, help you understand what's actually happening in your child's mind, in your child's brain. And how the presentation is structured is my chunk of the presentation will focus on the science behind anxiety. And nowadays, we see a lot of children with anxiety disorders. We see parents with anxiety disorders. And especially this anxiety, it's a very tricky thing. because it manifests quite differently in the younger population compared to the adults. And so today we are here to tackle that and understand why this happens and how can we, what can we do? Some simple measures that we can take to rewire the neural pathways for resilience. Let's meet Leo. Okay. Leo is a 8-year-old boy. God, this is not his real photo. On Sunday nights, he gets severe stomach aches. Monday morning involves tears and he causes a big meltdown at home. His parents finds it so difficult to just get him into the car. At night, he finds it difficult to sleep alone, so he wants his sister to be in the room with him, or he wakes his parents up and then he moves into the parents' room. And then at the initial stage, this actually manifested to school refusal. And somehow or other, the parents and people around judged him or judged his behavior as a bad behavior or manipulation. But through the lens of neuroscience, we can try to understand why Leo's behavior manifests as such. Leo is actually experiencing severe physiological neurochemical event. And let's look at why is this so. If you see, anxiety is an evolutionary masterpiece. It's an ancient neurocircuit designed to keep us alive. And this has actually proven to be true when we were all living in the caves, when we all had to go out, hunt, and find food for ourselves just as a means of survival. And similarly, what has happened over the period of time is that in the child's brain processes, due to modern stresses like spelling tests, the multiple exams that they have to sit for after coming back from school, they have tuition classes that they have to go to, and then they have this taekwondo class, that karate class, this class, that class, this class. You know, sometimes we do not think of their mental health. We are projecting our own inability or our own goals onto them to fulfill. And so they are actually burdened with unnecessary amount of anxiety. And so this routine becomes the source of their cortisol increase or their stress hormone increase in their life. And so for those of you who's finding it difficult to understand the concept of this anxiety and the system that we go by the name of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, I would like to invite all of you, if you just do a small experiment, just hold your fist up right in front of you, in front of the camera if your camera is on. If not, doesn't matter wherever you are. And then just imagine this fist is protecting something very important inside. It's so scared that you are going to snatch it out from you. And just see how naturally this fist actually tightens. It just tightens naturally because it's protecting something inside. And you can use your other hand or your palms to slowly and gently try to open those fingers. Try to open the fist. It will be a challenge for you. You know why? Because it is constricted, because it is anxious, because it doesn't want to open up. It is afraid of opening up. So similarly, you can relax your fist. So similarly, this is what is going on when you constrict your fist. This is called the sympathetic nervous system. When you relax, it's the parasympathetic nervous system. So our child's mind or Leo's mind right now is always in the sympathetic mood or sympathetic nervous system. So anxiety is a survival feature. It is not a bug. And often enough, we are clouded and we often judge our children as a negative behavior. And that's because of the lack of awareness. And hopefully after this talk, you will try to understand the neuroscience behind your child's behavior. And now let's move to the culprit. So why is your child behaving in such manner? So let me introduce you to this part of the brain, which is called amygdala. Deep in Leo's brain, there is this part called amygdala. Think of it like a highly sensitive neurobiological or smoke detector. Okay, so just a smoke detector. And whenever Leo faces school on Monday, his amygdala perceives the school as a threat and it hits the alarm. And then it completely bypasses the logic. Even though the school teacher is very nice, even though he has friends at school, it doesn't matter because for as long as the amygdala is active, Leo's brain will perceive school as a threat. It doesn't matter, no matter what you do. Okay, so it is not rational. And then we move to the other part of Leo's brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex. So imagine the amygdala as the smoke detector. And then now you have the prefrontal cortex, the front part of the brain here, which is the wise owl. Okay. Wise owl is the part of us. I'm very sure all of you parents here experience this. Sometimes you feel anxious and then you feel like, oh, this is a threatful situation. And there's this one part of your brain or one part of you which says, hey, that's not a tiger, it's a cat, that's not a snake, it's a rope, right? That's not ghost, it's your friend. So there's this part of the brain which actually regulates the amygdala. And somehow or rather, because the amygdala is too hyperactive, this part of the brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, finds it difficult to regulate the amygdala. So I hope that you all understand the point that I'm trying to suggest here or trying to bring out here. It is not entirely their behavior. It is the part of the brain which actually is overstimulated and understimulated. And so we move to the most important neurological fact for all of you. If you really want to know, okay, doctor, you already told me about the amygdala and prefrontal cortex. So what is it now? So why is it important? What is the significance of it? Do you know that the amygdala is fully mature at birth? But their prefrontal cortex, your child or Leo's prefrontal cortex or the brakes or the wise owl, isn't fully insulated or fully developed until the age of 25. So the child, they are literally or structurally incapable of reasoning their way out of severe anxiety on their own. And that is why we need to guide them. And so this moves on to the chemical cascade. So what happens if the amygdala is raised and it's hyperactive? And it activates a cascade of neurohormones or neuroendocrine hormones in the body, which dumps a lot of stress hormones. Okay, I'm very sure you have all experienced this. When these hormones or this cortisol increases in the body, your heart rate increases, your breathing gets shallow, your blood level hits the digestive tract to go so that the muscle becomes contract. And then the anxiety is just not in the head, but the entire body goes into a flight or fright response. Or some of them even freeze response. They become angry, they become very vengeful. They can say things that they don't want to say, or they can just freeze. They can just go into their room and stop talking, refuse to come out and eat, refuse to mingle with the family members as well. So, and this is actually very important for your understanding, because all of these, it provides an opportunity for us to be able to handle this as well. And so we move to Leo's case. Now, remember Leo's stomachache. That's not a lie to skip school. The gut-brain axis is bidirectional. It's a superhighway connecting the vagus nerve. So as you can see here, the entire body is connected. Once this hormone starts to flood the entire system, the digestive system literally shuts down. And guess where all the happy hormones and all the positive hormones come from? Even though some comes from the brain, but 95% of them come from the gut. So when the blood flow is shut down to the gut, naturally, they will also feel like it's in a survival mode because they don't get the happy hormones. So that is why they experience this high form of anxiety. And so we must validate their physical pain and tell them it's okay to feel this way. And sometimes they can even experience symptoms like headaches, nausea, muscle tension, and even fatigue. And then what happens? This is where we make the wrong choices. And this is where we actually empower the avoidance, we empower the anxiety. So sometimes these anxieties, they look like avoidance, the child can get aggressive, and sometimes they can even become very perfection, they can move to perfectionism. And when Leo, for this matter, refuses to go to school and stays at home, his brain gets a massive rush of relief because I don't have to go to school. My parents are not forcing me to go to school. And because of this, what happens is that there is a negative reinforcement. Okay, because you remove an offending stimulus or you remove something which is not pleasant in the child's mind, so the child feels happy and he feels reinforced. And so what happens is that there's a new connection which happens in the brain. School equals to danger, home equals to survival or safe. So because of this, every time, the next time around, his brain will naturally give him those feelings so that he will avoid school. And then when you allow him to not go to school, you will strengthen this anxiety circuit or this avoidance circuit as you see on your screen right now. And so the anxiety grows, the symptoms becomes worse, and then you don't know what to do, and then you feel helpless, and then you have to bring your child to a psychiatrist. Okay, so it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes we are struggling because we don't understand. That's all. That's all. I'm just validating all your emotions right now. The reason why we find it difficult, we find it challenging is because we don't understand. That's all. It's nothing that we don't want to understand, right? So there are different types of anxiety in children, but there's no one type of anxiety which fits all presentations that we see. Some children, they are always focused on the future, and they're always in anxiety about what if this happened. I'm very sure some of you or most of you also have this kind of mind where it's always afraid of what's going to happen in the future. So it cannot just be relaxed in the present moment experience. It projects the worst circumstance or the worst consequence into the future, and then it becomes quite anxious in the present moment. So you cannot experience peace in the present moment. And some children experience social anxiety, specific types of phobia, and also separation. So we see this sudden rise of anxiety disorders after the COVID-19. When children have we have forced children to a certain extent because of unavoidable circumstances, of course, the virus and the entire the contamination and whatnot, right? We have brought them back into seclusion. We have to a certain extent isolated them from what they really need for a very long period of time. And now their brains are finding it difficult to reintegrate back again. So how do we fix this? Right? So, doctor, you've told me the problem. Now I know the problem is the amygdala is the prefrontal cortex. Amygdala is from the birth. Prefrontal cortex takes time to mature. So I need to help my child. So I need to understand that, it's very difficult for him to avoid this. And then I don't want to also reinforce the avoidance. So what can I do about this? So in psychiatry, we always focus about the biopsychosocial model. Biopsychosocial model is an integrative model which we use to treat any form of mental disorders or mental related issues. Let's move to the biological aspect. The biological aspect, as you can see here, is easily divided to the sleep, nutrition, and also movement. We optimize, you can look at it like the hardware. Your body is your hardware, your mind is your software, right? So your hardware, you need to jaga first lah. You need to do what you need, you need to do the right thing so that your hardware is, betul-betul kau. But sometimes it's challenging. It's challenging. So the simple things that you can do, focus on sleep. Sleep isn't just rest. It is the way the brain system literally flushes out all the metabolic waste. And without good sleep, do you know the researchers to say that without good sleep, the amygdala is 60% more reactive. So when your child is off playing with his smartphone the whole night, scrolling his TikTok, Instagram, and then he falls to sleep, the mind doesn't go into deep sleep. And then he wakes up the next morning. What happens? The amygdala is still active because there's not enough time for the brain to flush out all the unnecessary metabolic waste through the glymphatic. That's one system in the body. So anyway, and the second thing is regarding food, nutrition. That's also very important. 90% of your happy hormones come from the gut, and the feel good hormones come from the gut. So it is actually synthesized in the gut. So if your child takes high sugar diets, this disrupt the natural production of and regulation of these happy hormones or this serotonin. And finally, we want to also focus on movement. Nowadays, everyone wants to play their Mobile Legend. Children wants to play Mobile Legend, play the Roblox, and all the e-sports and e-games. They literally don't move the body. And guess what? Moving the body physically burns off the cortisol. It just burns off the stress. And that is why you notice people who actually have a very active lifestyle very rarely get affected by stress. And so hardware, sleep, nutrition, movement. Now we move to software. How can we handle the software? So thanks to neuroplasticity means there's always a chance that you can rewire your child's brain. Not only your child's brain, but our own brain, right? Because we also want to grow. It's no point if your child grows, and you have to grow first in order for your child to be able for you to be able to understand what's actually happening with your child. A lot of parents whom I see in my clinic, they often enough blame their children for their behavior, but they refuse to see that sometimes it is not just the child. And I'm not blaming you or anything. Please don't take it like that. But sometimes we are also in situations where we are in stress because of work, because of time, because of so many other things, the challenges the suffering that we are going through right now. And so the first step is we have to rewire our own brains. And then we try to help our children. So this law of neuroplasticity says that the neurons that fire together wire together. Through certain types of therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, we can teach the prefrontal cortex to identify those negative cognitive distortions or things which unhelpful thoughts. Okay, unhelpful thoughts. Through therapy, you can teach the child to identify unhelpful thoughts, and so that they can eliminate those unhelpful thoughts. And sometimes through gradual exposure, we can also take brave steps, and we can not do an exam, because sometimes when you force the child, let's say in Leo's case, he finds school as a threat, so he refuses school and stays at home. So gradual exposure would mean that you find ways how to just take Leo just maybe outside the school, around the school, and so that his brain gets exposed to school not as a threat, but it's a place of as a place which provides safety. And then we move to the final part, which is the social, which is co-regulation. Here, I would like to reiterate and bring up something quite important. When we speak of co-regulation, we must understand the concept of mirror neurons. In our brain, there is a type of neuron. Neuron means the brain cells are called neurons. So there's a type of cells which is called the mirror neuron. Mirror neuron are specialized cells, okay, which literally map the emotional state of people around us. So for an example, if my father is coming and if he's angry and he's in a meltdown and he's pouring his meltdown on me, shouting at me, my mirror neurons will imitate that. it will imitate exactly and map exactly what my father's behavior is. So if Leo is having a meltdown and his parent approaches him with a spiked heart rate and yelling and shouting at Leo, how come you're not going to school? He's already 1 week already never go to school. Look at your cousin brother, he goes to school every day because of your cousin brother is scoring A's for his mathematics and all. This year I have to go to Deepavali. How am I going to face my relatives? It goes on and on and on and on. We compare the child, we compare every other situation to the child. But at the same time, this what happens in Leo's brain is that his mirror neurons takes the entire situation or experience and gives you the same thing back again, right? So Leo's mirror neurons will perceive that as an escalated threat. So the way how to handle this is you need to regulate yourself first. You need to calm yourself down first, and then by doing so, you would be able to calm down your own prefrontal cortex, your own wise owl, and also calm down Leo's wise owl. Okay. I think we have moved. We are currently at our last slide right now, second last slide or third last slide right now. I'd just like to do a very brief practical session with all of you right now. This is called 4-5-6 breathing technique. Okay, let's do it together. We will take in deep breaths. So you place one hand on your belly. Okay, one hand on your belly. And then we'll breathe in the count of 4. We will hold our breath in the count of 5. And we will exhale in the count of 6. All right. So you just look at my hand. I will do the counting for all of you. Okay, make sure your hands are on the belly. So you need to feel the breath all the way down at your belly. Okay, so breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One last time. Breathe in. Feel the breath all the way in the belly. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So this is a simple step how you can regulate yourself right now. After doing this deep breathing exercise or this 4-5-6 technique, I'm sure your mind and your body feels more relaxed. And so this is one way how you can work with it. Now we have come to the end. So how can we help Leo? Imagine Leo as being your own child. Okay. And his parents didn't tell him to stop worrying, but what Leo's parents did was they applied the science. They tried to understand what's happening with Leo. They fixed his sleep to lower his baseline cortisol. His mom regulated herself and stayed calm during the morning panic that we all go through trying to get our child to school. And they used gradual exposure, slowly driving Leo to school, parking on a Saturday, and then walking to the door of the school on the Sunday, and then slowly physically rewire his brain and reduce the anxiety or the activity of the amygdala. And so if you think Leo is cured, no. Is Leo cured? No, he's not cured. But at least the behavior is managed. And so always remember, dear parents, brothers and sisters, anxiety is a highly plastic brain waiting for better instructions. And you are the instructor. You make the choice. If you are well regulated, your calm presence will bring a healthy biology and gentle guidance for your child. And again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for this wonderful opportunity and being here today. If you have any questions, please do not feel shy. Do type it out in the chat. And also, I'd like to apologize for the time. I think I've gone over time a bit. So thank you again. It's a wonderful opportunity. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sabbitan. That was interesting. Now at this age, now I'm learning something which I hope I can help with my grandchildren as well. Now, according to a newspaper report, there are some 420,000 children who are facing mental health problems. This is scary because today, many of us have only 1, 2, or maximum 3 children. And it is so sad when here the report says that 1 in 4 teenagers had experienced depression, 1 in 8 had suicidal thoughts, and 1 in 10 had attempted suicide. This is scary statistics. So that's why I wanted to have this program so that we can learn from each other and also see how we can help our young ones. Yeah, now we will proceed on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is someone whom I've known since she was young. And I know her parents. And I'm so glad to see her blossom into a beautiful young lady, a lawyer by profession, and now a young mother as well. And she is someone whom I love to listen to because she has a very pleasant voice and a sweet smile. So over to our sister, Anusha Reddy. Over to you, Anusha.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Dorian. Hi, good evening, everybody. It's an honor and privilege to share this space with 2 other prominent speakers and mental health practitioners. As Sister Dorian mentioned, I'm the latest addition to this series, and I'm very excited to be here. So my presentation or my sharing today covers, let me try and change the slide. Okay, yes, you can see my slide now. So I'll be talking about the emotional well-being of parents. So I'm a mother of 2 children. My children turned 7 and 2 this November. And I resonate very much to how our emotional well-being plays a huge part in our role as parents. And I appreciate how Dr. Sabbitan has nicely coined his presentation, leading to this part of today's sharing, which is parents' emotional well-being. So jumping right in, have you noticed how during the day, our response to our children is very different compared to how we respond to a child at the end of the day? So in this picture, we see a child showing her mother during the day her artwork. And the mother here looks almost excited. She's reaching out. She appears enthusiastic, wanting to know more about how what the child has drawn, and she's excited to explore with the child. But in the same scenario, when the child shows her art piece at night, the mother appears uninterested. She's dragging her feet. That's how she appears in this picture. And we can see why, because the picture shows how the battery of the parent during the day is full, but at night, the battery is almost negative. And so same scenario, but our response is different. Okay, so Sister Uma, just to share that I'm not able to change my slide. So I'll be telling you, please change slides, and then you go ahead and click next, yeah? So coming here, we understand that the reason why our response changes from how it is during the day compared to how it is at night is simply because we are juggling with the many roles that we have, from our commitment at work to putting food on the table, to the house chores, taking care of the children, young children, being a Grab driver, transporting our child from one activity to another. So we're juggling so much and we're exhausted physically. And some of us may even be in a sandwich generation where we have to care for aging parents, at the same time care for young children. And so we're squashed in between and we're overwhelmed. We're stressed. So this is where our emotional exhaustion comes in. We're stressed. we're burnt out. Some of us even feel guilty because when we feel that we're not able to give it our best in the role that we play. Some of us feel we're stagnating. I sometimes even I ask this question, who am I? I feel like a sense of loss of identity. Am I just the mother, or is there more to it? So all this creates physical and emotional exhaustion. And what's even more dangerous is if we don't pay attention to our physical and emotional exhaustion, when our thermostat is overheating, the whole house feels it. So the point here, or the key word here, is the word feeling. The house feels it. So not just exhaustion, the key word, but feeling. Why? Because, Sister Uma, next slide, please. Because if we think that we are able to mask and put up a front, not exposing how we feel inside of us, but put up a front as if we are present and we are bubbly and joyful with our child. The truth is, as Brother Dr. Sabbitan mentioned earlier, children mirror parents. Their neurons mirror. And here, emotionally, they absorb our energy and they mirror it back to us, because children do not experience our intentions. They experience what we manifest in our tone, our mood, and our behavior. So at this juncture, I'll share with you, when I had a client who had come in for sessions, she was a mother, and she said, my 7-year-old every day comes back from school. And she says, I don't want to go to school. I don't have any friends. Nobody likes me. I feel sidelined. Nobody wants to include me in any activities. I hate school. So the mother, after trying so many things under the sun, she comes for sessions with me and she says, can you help me? And so while we explored alongside various approaches to help the child build her confidence, something told me, let's ask the mother, how are you doing? And so when I asked the mother, how are you doing in your role? And she said, I'm extremely exhausted. I feel that I'm overwhelmed with so much going on. And in fact, I recently had a turbulence at work, and I didn't have any support from fellow colleagues. I feel that I don't want to go to work. I feel unsupported, unappreciated. And then I told this mom, have you ever thought that there could be a chance your daughter is reflecting what you're feeling? She's reflecting your energy. And so the mother went to the daughter's school, to ask the teachers, how's my daughter doing? Because she seems to come back and say she has no friends and she feels that there's no one who wants to include her. And the teacher said the opposite. The teacher said, oh, your daughter is the life of the class. Everybody likes her. She's so bubbly, full of energy, and everybody wants to include her in everything. And then the mother paused and she thought, oh my God. So the child behaves like that in school, but the moment she comes back and she's in the radar of the mother's energy, she feels the mother's energy, she absorbs it, and then she reflects it back to the mother. So the mother, when she's not congruent meaning she's not aligned with what she's feeling inside compared to how she's displaying herself outside, when she's not congruent, the child is not able to regulate her emotions and she reflects it back to the mother because she's absorbing. But instead, when the parent is able to be congruent, she's aware of her emotions and she's able to regulate it, we as parents create an emotional safety for our children. Now, not just about mirror reflection, yeah? Next is Sister Uma. Yeah, so not just about protecting our child from absorbing our energy, we also need to be very mindful of how we carry ourselves within us. Why? Why is this? So Dr. Gabomat is a psychologist. I adore him. I love him. And he here in this slide, if you see, he says, when parents say, my child is stressing me up, my child is causing me anxiety, he says that's usually not the case, because when our kids trigger our anxiety, we have to remember that that anxiety was there to be triggered in the first place, which means that what he's trying to say is the children in front of us may appear to be triggering us, but the wound was already within us to begin with. And it is us who's not addressing that wound. And instead of treating that wound, we are treating that wound as a taking accountability and acknowledging that that wound even exists within us, we then project that hurt onto the child and end up taking what they do to us as a personal attack. And then we start labeling the child as being rude, being difficult, because when we're transferring all those pain within us onto the child. So not only are we exposing the child to absorb our energy, we are also not able to separate what we are feeling compared to what's happening in front of us. So pause, once again, another example to share. I had a client who had come in for sessions. She said, you know, whether it's at the daytime or the nighttime, I feel very exhausted. My response to my children seemed to be now becoming the same. I'm not able to hold it anymore. I feel very easily irritable by my children's behavior. And so this onion theory talks about peeling our layers. I started asking her, so what are you feeling inside? Why do you feel irritated? How is your sleep? And she said, I have not slept well in days. My thoughts are just all over the place. I feel not at peace. I'm not getting deep sleep. Then the question comes, what is causing you to stay awake? And she says, I feel anxious. I feel anxious that I'm stagnating. I'm not moving in my career. And then the core layer tells us, so as onions, you know, we peel the layers, the core innermost layer of her, she says that I feel no matter what I do, it's not enough. I'm unworthy. So she has associated success to professional progress, career progression. And when she's stagnating because of the load she's carrying, the roles that she plays, she's not able to give it her best at work. She feels that that stagnation is causing her to feel like a failure. So you see, all this is within her because of her past experiences that has made her feel this way. That wound is inside of her. That feeling is inside of her. But when you don't pay attention to this, you don't realize it exists. We then project this pain onto the child, and we think the child is triggering us. We think the child is the problem. We label the child as being rude. But when we pay attention to our inner self, our wounds, then we are able to separate it, and we see how the question then shifts from why is my child like this to how can I help my child regulate his or her emotions because they are going through a big feeling. They are going through a difficult moment. We no longer look at it as a personal attack. So the key word here, if you see in red in the slides, the moment we realize that how we react to our kids' behavior has more to do with how we're feeling than what our kids are actually doing, is the moment we understand that our main job as parents must be to keep ourselves emotionally healthy. I'm not saying we need to be perfect parents. There's no perfect parents, but to take accountability and to pause and reflect and recognize if we are going through something, to ask ourselves, where is this feeling coming from? So when we ask why do I feel this way? We're peeling the layers. And sometimes we can't do it on our own, which is where therapists like ourselves and the speakers here come in to support. Now, next slide. If we think, oh, I'm juggling so much, there's so many responsibilities that I have. How can I then find time to regulate my emotions or process any wounds that I have within me? Then here comes Brian Dyson, the former CEO of Coca-Cola Company. He said, life is made up of rubber balls and glass balls. Rubber balls comprises of our daily chores, our career growth, our social events that we are missing because of all the many roles and how much we have on our plate at the moment. But these rubber balls, if you drop it, it will bounce back up. It's just maybe not today, but tomorrow time will come and we'll be able to grow then, our career growth or whatever it is. But glass balls comprises of our personal health, family bonding, our family bond, our self-care. And if we don't pay attention to these glass balls, if we drop it, it's so fragile, it may not be easily repaired. So as Dr. Sabbitan mentioned earlier, we need to reframe how we look at ourselves. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity, a mandatory necessity. We need to take instead of taking time away from our children, we need to look at it as I am protecting the version of me that they are experiencing. Only when I do the work on myself will they be able to experience the optimum version of ourselves. So next comes the part where back then on self-care, there was a village to raise children. Everybody everywhere is there to support. But now in 2026, I feel like I'm a one-man show. I'm doing it all. Where am I supposed to find a village and help me in supporting so that I can take time for self-care? But here's the thing. Parenting was never meant to be a one-man show, which means even in 2026, we need to create that village. We need to manifest it, external village and internal village. So let me break it down for you. External village, next slide please, refers to our outer network. We need to create that support system, that community that we feel aligned, our values, with theirs. We find a spiritual group or a network, parents, teachers, where we can correlate to and ask support from them. Maybe grandparents, if we are aligned with their upbringing and we're comfortable with them being with our children, then use them as a support system. Nanny or house helper to help with the house chores. Or like I said, a therapist or a mentor to help us process anything that requires processing. And apart from support system, Dr. Sabbitan also mentioned about happy hormones. This is something we can do for ourselves. They are dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and oxytocin. We need to generate these happy hormones, these feel-good hormones within us that will help us with the self-care. So dopamines are small goals or to-dos that we achieve. It gives us that reward chemical. Serotonins are mood stabilizers when we go back to nature, just outside that breath, that fresh breath air, connecting back to nature, practicing gratitude, that stabilizes our mood. Endorphins are pain relievers. Exercise gives us that adrenaline, or even just laughing, that pain reliever comes into support. Or oxytocin is love hormones where with bonds with families or social networks, acts of kindness, supporting someone, helping someone out, gives us that feel-good hormone. So these are external village that we can help to help us in our self-care, to be the better version of ourselves for our children. Then what is the internal village? Internal village refers to the 3 bodies and the 5 koshas. So let me just tell you, this originated from a Vedantic philosophy, but it's nothing to do with ritualism or religion. It simply tells us that we are comprised of 5 layers. We have 5 layers within us. The outermost is called the body, followed by our energy, followed by our mind, our intellect, and finally our intuition, where our bliss domain is. These 5 layers needs to be aligned. Why? Because when it is aligned, we are able to strengthen the peace within us, the resilience within us. And prayer purifies our intentions. If you're an atheist, then higher source, connecting back to the higher source, helps us with our intention. The responsibilities that we carry become an offering, not a burden. Let me give you an example. Imagine the game Jenga, like as per this picture here. If it is aligned and it's all nicely, in an order, as our inner sheets, the layers we have within us, if it's all aligned, then if there's anything external, our child comes and pushes us, we don't tumble. We are able to stay composed, regulated, and look at the child as the child is having something difficult, and we need to help the child learn to regulate emotions. But if we're all over the place, and as per the other picture, it's all not in align, the shifts are all over the place, our layers are all disaligned, then one slight push externally from our child, we come tumbling down. Then we are not able to help the child regulate the child's behavior. We transfer our negative coping mechanisms onto the child. Some of us, if our coping mechanism, we learned it the hard way when we were younger, as to shut down. Whenever times are tough, we shut down. Then what we are doing to the child is we provide them the silent treatment. What does the child gain from that? The child, oh, my mom is not approachable. I don't know how to regulate. And I absorb their coping mechanism. I too then, when times get tough, I shut down. I have silent treatment. So we need to not do that onto our children. We need to recognize and align ourselves, heal the wounds that we have so that we can give the best version of ourselves to our children. If you want to know more about this parent care, this inner alignment, there's a program called Parent Care. It's a public outreach program. So anyone from anywhere around the world can join. We have it online and in person. You can learn more about this in the next in-person session happening on 5th of May. You can learn more about it from there, or you can just ask Sister Doreen and she can share you this registration link and you can contact the person in charge to know more about it. So our last three slides that I have is a gentle reminder that we need to live in the moment. As we are rushing through all these responsibilities that we have to pause and know that time is flying too. And we need to find that meaning in what we do so that we have a sense of purpose. Because in a blink of an eye, everything shifts. And that leads me to a story that I want to share, or leave you as a take-home message. There's a Zen Buddhist proverb that says, chop wood, carry water. It's a very famous proverb. There are many versions of it, and I'll just share with you the version that I know best. There was once a tourist who went around on a trip, and he found a group of men chopping wood and carrying water. So then he asks one of the men, he says, what are you all doing? And that first man says, Ayo, every day I'm chopping wood and carrying water. Every day I'm doing the same thing. I can't be done with this. I don't know when will this come to an end. It's just so exhausting and I just hate what I'm doing. Then this tourist responds saying, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better soon. It sounds very heavy what you're going through. But he still felt like his answer was not there. So he went on to the next person and he asked, sorry, brother, what are you doing? And he says, oh, we're building a castle. And I'm so honored and proud to be part of this project because this castle is going to be a huge tourist spot and everyone is going to come and enjoy it. And I'm honored to be a part of it. You know, so he instead of focusing on the chopping wood and carrying water, he's happy about the process and the end of this goal that he's working towards. So that reminder to us to shift in our perspective, setting the intention every single day, the right intention, conscious energy that we vibrate in. Because the goal of parenting is not to eliminate the daily struggles. The struggles are there. I can vouch for it. But the goal is to build in those ordinary moments a safe space for our children to feel secured and loved. So with that, children need to be mirrored when they come to you. We want to be that clear mirror for them. So the most important work that we do is with ourselves. I hope you've benefited from this sharing. Thank you all for your very patient listening. Back to you, Sister Doreen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anusha. That's enlightening. I think I learned how to handle my grandchildren better now. I hope to. And yes, life does not have to be so heavy all the time. I think there are many light and happy moments we look forward in our family. We are all seeking peace and happiness. But why does it feel like a struggle sometimes? Yeah. So, well, life is not a bed of roses, but it can hold a lot of meaning for us. So, in today's world, many things are happening. And sometimes in seeking to be successful, many students, many parents find themselves under a lot of stress just before major exams. And this is also driving a lot of students having a lot of anxiety. And sometimes also, even in the schools now, there are a lot of bullying cases. Apparently, in 2024, it was reported that there was over 7,600 bullying cases in Malaysian schools. Now that's scary, the statistics, isn't it? But that's why today I invited our next speaker, who is Dr. Anasuya. She is someone I've known for a long time because I also know her father, her family, and I know that she has so much to share, and she is also the former dean of the Faculty of Psychology at the University of Cyberjaya, and she has done a lot with children and teenagers and young adults. So without further ado, I call upon Dr. Anasuya to give her presentation. Over to you.
Okay, Sairam. So can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, somebody else is controlling the slides. I have no issues with that. Okay,
Yes.
next slide. So my phone number is there. That's, that's the main important thing. So here's the thing. Sometimes, and everybody's talked about how we deal with our, talked about your inner state, your child's mental health state. But now let's look at one thing. Let's look at behaviors, which is ultimately how we want our child to behave. When your children are small, they start acting up. Oh yeah, it's cute, it's cute, it's cute. Until a point in their life where it's no longer cute. It's no longer, it's no longer fun. It is actually serious and dangerous. So now we're going to look at behaviors. And when we talk about behaviors, I'm going to be talking about internet. I'm going to be talking about, really practical stuff, which I have seen. I'm even, a bit, serious topics. All right. Next slide, please. So just want all of y'all to look at your parents. There are two key items. Click again. There are two key items in parenting. Parents, you make demands on your kids. As much as you say, oh, I'm an easy parent, I don't make demands. No, there are demands. And if you don't make demands, you are in the wrong, because then the child assumes those demands. Okay, the child will think that you have demands that may not really be true. So sometimes it's important to have these conversations about what you really want for your child in the future. What do you expect from them? What do they expect from themselves? And it doesn't have to be a serious conversation in terms of like, oh, I expect it now. It could be more of a, let's talk about life planning in general and make it a general conversation with a bit of Coca-Cola, and laughing and talking and jokes in between. That would be a good way to have this type of conversation. Then next slide, please. Next, click again. And then, of course, you are, as parents, we respond to the child's needs and demands. And here's where we kind of have gone wrong. We're not Santa Claus. We're not the child's friend. We're the child's parent. And now a lot of people, under the guise of, I want to be my child's friend, respond to demands that they maybe should not be responding to. When we look at what's happening online, when we look at what's happening to the kids, when we look at bullying, where is the safety net? One of the questions that we'll ask to Sister Doreen is, oh, we send our child to Bal Vikas. How come the child still has behaviors? You send your child to Bal Vikas for about 2 hours a week. We plant seeds, we plant thoughts, we plant ideals, we plant ideas. But the rest of the week, the child is with you. The child is with your school. The child is with your school friends. The child is with the internet. So when we are planting seeds, and I have seen this because I've been a Bal Vikas guru for 30 years, and I was in the Bal Vikas program. So 50 years of, no, not 50, 45 years of experience with the Bal Vikas. And I have seen kids who as my gang of Bal Vikas students who as teenagers went really off the rails. But many of them, as they grew into adults, came back. Not all. There are a few that did not survive their teenage years. Few that went too far off the rail. And, we didn't respond to their needs in a way that was safe and protective at the same time. So there is that part of it. So that's why we need, you can't say that, oh, we planted all the seeds, we can just let it go. We have our role and we need to play that role and seriously play that role. Okay, next slide, please. So let's look at it this way. When you have a high demanding and high responsive child, you have authoritative, and you might have heard of this before because, when you talk about a tiger mom, which Asians are supposed to be, it is authoritarian, okay? High demand, low responsive. You demand a lot from your child, you're not very responsive. So High demand, that means you demand a lot, you're highly responsive, that gets authoritative, and that's actually a really good one to be. Pessimist, high responsive, low demand. Okay, then you get a very permissive, I just buy you whatever you want. I don't demand anything from you. And children under that category can feel like they're stupid, they can feel like they're not good enough, they can feel the only value comes from things, which is a dangerous place to be. And then you have low response and low demandingness. Now let me honestly tell you one thing. Of all four, the worst is disengage. The worst thing you can do to your child is make your child feel that they do not matter at all. And when a child feels they don't matter, what they're going to do is some of them will try to behave badly, because the only time you pay attention to them is when you're angry with them. The only time you give them care is when they break something or they're naughty. That's how they feel. Now, it may not be true. You may be busy, you may have 100 things to do, but that's how the kid feels. And when they feel that, then you're going to have negative behaviors, because there is not enough positive interactions to stop the negative behavior. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so here, let me give you all an example and just a quick quiz. Look at yourself as parents and what do you say to your kids? If you're authoritative, you do as I say, not as I do, okay? This is my house, my rules. Don't argue with me. I know what's best for you. My dad said that to me. I didn't believe it then. I don't believe it now. That's a very conditional statement, okay? So authoritarian is something where it's a high demand. It has some results, but generally low relationship between parents and child at the end of the day. My child, my child can take care of themselves. The maid is at home. I'm entitled to my own life. If you say that, why on earth did you have kids? I'm sorry, I'm going to be, that's a bit rude of me, but that's the truth. If you have parents who are not willing to be parents, then something's wrong, because that's the worst. That's the one where kids will behave badly in order to get attention. They will find attention in other places. That's kind of the worst parenting that you get. All right. You want a computer in your room? No problem. How much do you need? I'll pay. I'll get whatever you want. Do whatever you want. That's permissive. That's not a good thing as well. Too nice to your kids. No boundaries. No, that's not your job. Your job is to give boundaries. So the authoritative, the good parent, okay? You cannot simply go on Facebook. I will allow you to go on Facebook only when I'm in the room and just for half an hour. There are many cyber criminals out there. There are too many cyber criminals out there for me to simply allow it. Now, here's the thing. As your kids get older, you have to explain to them why you have what you say you have. This is my rules. Okay, why do you have that rule? What is the purpose of that rule? How is the purpose different between child A and child B? Your kids see all this. And better still, if mommy and daddy can shout, how come I'm supposed to not shout? If you all can lose your temper, how come I cannot lose my temper? Okay? So these are very pertinent things that kids have that actually cause problems with parents. And, this is your relationship with your child. Next slide, please. So what parents want teens to do? So what do you all want your teen to do? Okay, I'm talking more about teenagers than kids, because kids tend to be a bit easier. Next slide. Yeah. Click, click, click. Click. Just click faster. Yeah. Click. They want you to listen, understand, obey, grow up, perform. Talk to me and spend time with me. Really? When you want the top 5, click again. Yeah. When you want to talk to me and spend time with me, remember the slide just now about when the mother is awake and the child is not awake and the child is not sleepy. But early morning, when you have that energy, your kids need to go to school. Your kids have zero energy really early in the morning. Teenagers, early in the morning, only want to do one thing, sleep. The time they're awake is in the evening. At night, they come to talk to you, you're tired. At that point in time, you tell them, switch off. You're not spending time with your kids. Spending time with your kids by going to movies is not spending time with your kids. If you're going to a movie with your child, it's not quality time. Okay, it is going to a movie, sitting quietly and letting the screen babysit your child with you present there. Okay, and you're not really mentally present because you're not even having a discussion. And then when you come out of the movie and the children are talking about it, and you go, okay, I'm tired, enough, you all watch the movie, you all talk to each other, don't talk to me. Then it's really not good timing at all with your kids. So you have to understand that what is at the bottom. Talk to me, spend time with me. You know, kids may not want to talk to you, but sometimes that's the best thing to do. Make them talk to you. Make them listen to you. Get interesting conversational topics. Think of interesting things to say. Okay, and then you'll have good conversations with them. Don't always talk about scolding. Scolding is not talking. Shouting is not talking. The minute your voice goes up, and nowadays, I mean, I have foster kids, and I have, you know, I've dealt with family members, and I was one thing which I'll say: if you lose your temper, don't lose your temper for more than 3 minutes. Find it after 3 minutes and stop shouting. Take yourself out of the room, take yourself out of the location until you calm down. And then, once the child also has calmed down and you have calmed down, ask the kid to sit down and talk to them. Listen and talk. You let them speak. You also speak. Talk to them for at least half an hour to 1 hour. Then maybe they'll start behaving, because you talking to them will be what they want to stop. But make sure you talk to them. And while you're talking to them, 2 rules: don't lose your temper. Make sure your temper is under control. And rule number 2, do not bring up the past. Do not keep repeating, oh, you know, last year you did this, before that I have the promises before. No, it's always of, this is what you said this time, this is what you did, okay? So how is it going to affect your future? How is this going to affect other people? How do you think I'm affected by it? Have a discussion about the situation. You know, some of them will actually prefer you just took out the rotan to the talk, okay? But seriously, don't take out the rotan, don't lose your temper, sit down and talk to them. And you might find that they might actually listen, okay? Next slide, please. Because in adolescence, the basic thing is, I see you, I hear you, but I don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. And then you say, but I was a teenager. How come you cannot, how come you say, doctor, how can you say I don't understand them? I was a teenager. Yeah, but you were a teenager 30 years ago. Same time I was a teenager. Young, I mean, you know, you were a teenager 20 years ago. The world has changed. AI is a thing. Internet is a thing. Now we are going to be banning kids from internet under the age of 14. And I'm going, thank you, God, it's about time. All right. So, yes, we need to understand that, yes, you were a child, but the world the child is living in, the environment, the parenting, it's all different. It's all changed. And it has a big impact on how your children look at the world and how you look at the world. And it's 2 different things. Next slide. Okay, so what do kids need? What do the teens need? Next slide. You want, you know, listen to me, understand me, let me be, give me boundaries, pay attention to me. Next slide, next one. Yeah. Give me freedom and give me, that's what the children need. Teenagers need, not children, teenagers. Teenagers need a bit of freedom. As much as I'm saying, I'm approving of the government stopping the videos, I do think that they do need a freedom, but they need boundaries. They prefer boundaries because then they know that within those boundaries they are safe. You remember when you're talking about that safe space, the first sister was talking about safe space, and it goes back to Brother Sabbitan talking about dopamine levels in the safe space. Your home is your child's safe space. You have every right to stop bullying, to stop negative things from coming into your home, and then you explain to them why you don't want them. Internet, if you're under 14 years old, and they have access to the internet in their rooms after bedtime. Why? What do you think they're doing? Who do you think they're talking to? Is it any way healthy for their minds? Okay, above 14, then 15, 16, you have to let it go a little bit. Okay, after SPM, you have to let it go quite a bit. But before that, we have to be a bit strict because we don't want a world where predators can enter into that, that safe dopamine space of our home where children automatically relax, they feel safe. And because they feel safe, if you allow all these, negative characters to come in, they can damage your child even more because they have that access to your child. So honestly, please, all jokes aside, internet is a wonderful thing in some ways, but to have strangers be able to talk to your child inside your own home is not something you ever want at night. You must be able to monitor them. Okay, next slide. Okay, So if you don't talk to your children, okay, sorry. So one of the main things is, I think I missed the slide here. Here's a rule of thumb. When you're talking about talking to your kids, if you don't talk to your children about things that matter to them or things that don't matter, you can't talk to them about things that matter. If you don't talk to your child about what are they watching on an anime, you may get sick of it. They're talking about Frozen 10,000 times. They're now Frozen 2, whatever Frozen it is, I don't know. But if they're talking about a game that they're playing, if they're talking about something they saw on TV, let them talk, respond. But you cannot let them talk, and while they're talking, you are on your phone going. That's not talking. Put down your device. Put down your device and talk to your child. If you don't talk to your children about non-essentials, if you do not listen when they share nonsense, okay? If you don't spend quantity time, not just quality time, you're not going to connect with your kids. This whole idea of we only need quality time with our children is nonsense. You need quantity as well as quality, because one thing, if you spend so-called quality time, you don't know your kids. You don't know what they're up to. You don't know their behavior. If you don't know your children's behavior when they are safe and happy, how are you going to know when they have been targeted or they're unhappy or something's wrong in their life? Because the easiest way to know something is wrong is change in child's behavior. Whether they are babies, whether they are young children, whether they're adolescents, the most telling way is change in a child's behavior. Okay, you have 2-year-olds who are treated badly and they go from bubbly, open children to very scared, very quiet. If you didn't know that there was a change in behavior, you wouldn't know something's wrong in your home. There's something wrong because the child suddenly has a change in behavior that is abnormal. So one of the things we need to understand, in order to see those changes in behavior in our children, we need to spend quantity time. If not, you don't know your kids. If you don't know how your kids behave under normal, right? So don't expect teenagers to talk to you about what is important, what scares them, what problems they have. If they don't listen to the unimportant things, and they don't know you and they don't feel safe with you. Okay, in the slides just now, a parent asked, the child lies about everything. They tell white lies. They tell they finished their homework. Yes, they finished their homework. Okay, my question back is, what is your reaction when the first few times when they said, I finished my homework? What is the consequences of lying? Have you spoken to them seriously? Okay, you're sitting down here and lying. You've lied before, and this is without getting angry. Why do you think it is okay to lie? What is the benefit of lying? And you probably find out that, yeah, they're just trying to avoid a long conversation. So make it that long conversation. Have that long conversation with them. Again, without anger, without being upset, listen to them, try to ask them to process what should the consequences be. Negotiate with them consequences of what they do when they tell a lie, and then make those consequences happen. Okay, one of the worst things to do with your teenagers is discuss consequences and there are no consequences. All right, then the consequences never come about because you are too upset, you're too lazy, you're like, oh my God, it's okay, we can forgive them this time. Nah. If you have negotiated, consequences must happen. All right. Next slide. So what is your role as a parent? Going back to role we talked again about safety and safety net. We talked about family. Your role as a parent definitely is to provide basic needs and safety. And I think every parent here does that. Provide structure and discipline, a safe place from which the child can explore. Again, going back to what the other two speakers said just now, your home must be a safe space. If your child is scared of you because you are going to lose your temper, if the child is afraid because they don't know how you're going to react, then it's not going to go well. If you do not understand how a child acts, then it's not going to go well. Okay? Your role is to provide emotional support and love. Love is not permissive. It doesn't allow them to do whatever they want. Love is, I teach you how to behave in this world so that when you're an adult and you go out in this world, you know how to behave without needing me there. That's love. Okay? You are a role model, and this one is, the kicker. You don't want your child to be on social media. You have to switch off your social media. Simple as that. If you're on social media, then you can't really scold the child too much about being on social media. Okay, so you have to be the role model, and you have to provide support the child as they develop into a unique individual. And these are not easy things. It looks easy. It's not, because you have to change your behavior in order to influence the child's behavior. Okay, and honestly, one of the best things, if you take back anything from what I said today, one of the best things you can take back is never be angry for more than 3 minutes. And when you're discussing an issue with the child, do not talk about the past. Keep it to that conversation and that topic. Okay, and talk about the future. Okay, right, fine, you've done in the past, that's fine. Now, how many times are we going to repeat it? Because then I will have this conversation with you again. So if you're going to repeat the behavior, the conversation will happen again. You will not like it, but that's what will happen. And that's where you have to have patience. And, slowly, hopefully change will happen. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so you have an interaction between your family, your parenting, your marital relationship, your child's behavior and development. If you are fighting with your husband, if you're fighting with your wife, your children know. Your children 100% know that you all are fighting. They 100% know that you all are in a bad place. Even if you come and tell me, no, I don't fight in front of my kids. I'm like, yeah, no. Your kids are smart. Your kids can read the room. Your kids can feel your energy. Somebody talked about energy earlier. It's very true. And your parenting is there. Now, inside this, they mentioned something earlier which is really important. Your children, it takes a village to raise a child. We have replaced the village with social media. We have replaced the village with social media. Let me repeat that. And let me ask you, a village value system and social media value system, what's the difference? The difference is like night and day. If we want to look at our children now, many of us are Sai devotees, we're part of the Sai group. I'm strongly going to advocate, make the Sai group a village. We already send your kids to Balvikas. Have a few expand the Balvikas to Sai families, where a family can send your kids after school. I don't know what, I'm busy, I can't do anything. This time nobody's going to be at home. Where can I send my kids? Send them to somebody else's house. Don't send them alone to be looked after by the maid or social media. Oh, nobody's at home except somebody who's in bed all the time. We have to think of how we can recreate that village. And now the challenge is going to be, the village is no longer your personal family, because we've broken the nuclear family. From nuclear family, we've broken the extended family. Okay, we've broken the extended family to such an extent that when we think of going back for Raya and going back for Chinese New Year, we only think of the fights. We don't think of being together, of the value of that togetherness. We go there out of duty, out of responsibility. We don't enjoy it. But that's what kept our families together for hundreds and thousands of years. And in the last 200 years, we're destroying it because of technology, because of how we see technology and how we value the interactions on social media more than real life interactions. So it's really important to start looking at that and start saying, okay, how can I have a chosen family? I don't have my blood family now, but can I have a chosen family of a group of people where if I need, I got support. I get support, I can do things. And it can be from the Sai group, it can be from other groups, but we need to look at that structure. We need to start recreating that structure so that we have better support and better systems to support our kids. All right, next slide. I think I'm coming to the end already. Yep. So influences, just continue until it's finished. Yeah. So we have a lot of things, and I think I've repeated. I've said this all already, so I'm not going to repeat. But basically, all of this comes in and influences your children to be better adults. Bottom line, and the bottom line is, next slide. Okay. We need to model the behavior that we want. I cannot tell you this more. You don't want your kids to, if you come and tell me my kids shout and scream at the same time, my question is going to be back at you. Who in your family shouts and screams at your kids? And then you say, I don't and my husband don't, but my grandmother does. Yeah, my maid does. The grandparents do. And then you got a grandparent problem. Okay, especially if your grandparents are the one shouting at them. All right, you need to look into that. All right, next slide. Okay, so these are the role models. I'm not gonna go into it because I think that it was covered earlier quite well. So the last slide, I'm just gonna. I think the main thing I want to share is your parenting style and being there for your kids in a way that makes sense. Next slide, please. Okay, so the parenting role is ultimately to allow children to grow up into their own individual. As adults, they must want to come home. You know, that is the ultimate thing. All your parenting, whatever we are doing, ultimately we want our children to go out of the house. But we want them to want to come home. Or some of y'all may want them to stay at home. But they must want to stay. They must want to be with you and your husband and, or your wife or whatever. They must want to come to visit you. They must not feel that it's just a sense of duty. They must miss the love. Nobody misses the scoldings. Okay, nobody misses shouting, being screamed at. Everybody's on the internet. Nobody's going to miss that. They're used to that already. What they'll miss is your presence. And that's what you want them to miss. They want them to miss feeling valued, feeling loved, and you also want to miss that. So when we are looking at how we behave with our kids, that's what we're looking for. Okay, and I think that's my time up. That's a reminder for my time up. All right, so thank you, and my phone number is there if anybody wants to contact me later on for a chat or whatever. And especially if you've got issues with teenagers, I'm pretty good with teenagers. Okay, and keep in mind, like I said, your values. Don't be too hard on yourself, but understand you are the safe space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anasuya.
Welcome.
I think there's so much to learn, from every speaker. Okay, so brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, now we open the floor for questions. So would any one of you like to pose your questions to any of our speakers? You can on your video and perhaps introduce yourself and ask your questions. Okay, just now there was a question, but I think Dr. Anasuya has answered the question. Now, for those who are present here today, given the chance to ask. Okay, if no one has a question, I have a question. Now, you see, many parents will say, in the good old days, our children were so always listen to the parents, they are so well behaved, and today the children are different. How to solve the problem, So, would any of you like to answer this question? I get many parents asking me, today the children are so disrespectful, they are so different from the time when we were young, So what do we do now?
I'm going to answer that. I'm going to answer that in a very funny way. Okay, Doreen, I'm not sure whether y'all can see me or not at the moment, but let's have y'all right now. I'm going to be frank. Right now, there's a group that's come back, a Korean group called BTS, and they've come back. In that group, and these are right now they're the biggest group on the planet. These are 30, 40-year-old young men, and they are the biggest group on the planet. None of them do drugs. Recently, they had an issue with someone smoking, and they are now in their 30s. And people are questioning how come they are smoking. Why? Because they're Korean. They grew up with very strict discipline, very strict values. And they didn't let those values go. In their own group of people, okay, in their own group and in their own interactions with each other. Okay, these are 7 men. They are all different ages. The guy who's second oldest will sit down and talk to everybody until the oldest person walks into the room and he stands up immediately. So he stands up out of respect for the one coming in. You ask yourself, you say your children don't listen, they're not doing. Do you have discipline? Do you allow your kids to call first name? Do you allow certain behaviors, as norms? How do you treat each other? How do you treat other people? Children learn from all these things. And if we can really, really, really look at the behavior of this group of in the BTS, they're really the biggest group on the planet, and the amount of respect that they show to each other in their offline interactions is quite amazing. And it shows me one thing. Our Asian values of bringing up children, having groups that support children and having friends that are solid is so important. So if you're going to tell me again, my child is behaving this badly, that's okay. So now, what influences do you have in their life that are consistent and more than just the 2 hours, 2 hours a week, all right? That show them the right behavior, that give them the limits and the boundaries of their behavior. Because for a boy band and from teenagers, they were superstars. We've seen how all the Americans and how many of them go into drugs, how many of them go into bad behavior. These guys, not a single one of them. So so look at that discipline and try to think of, why do we think being permissive, being easy parents, being friends is the best way to parent our kids? When following America has come up to such good examples of parenting, right? Please don't follow them.
Okay.
Just-
Dr. Sabbitan, and do you have anything to add on?
Yeah, just to add on to what Akash mentioned earlier, we have external factors and internal factors, right? So those days is not today, it's not now. So that's the reality check. Every time when you compare to those days and today, we don't compare parents, do we? The neighbor uncle is doing so well and they have a big bungalow and have 3 Mercedes and they send their child to this school and then private school, I have to go to children will never compare, but parents always compare. So make them feel very inferior. So I'm not trying to put anyone down here, but what I'm trying to say is this idea of comparison needs to be let go. Always be in the moment, regulate yourself. And when you regulate yourself, no matter what the challenges are, sometimes people like to come and see psychiatrists. People come, I have many patients who come in not on medications. They're not on medications. They just want to sit with me for 20 minutes. They just want to sit with me for 30 minutes. They just want to sit. And after the session, they wake up and I tell, can I discharge you from the clinic? And then they say, no, I feel so regulated just sitting with you. The reason why they feel that is because I am very regulated. So similarly, when you regulate yourself, know how to regulate your emotion, always know how to ground yourself to the present moment, your child will also reciprocate this level of regulation. And when that happens, it doesn't matter which era that you're in, whenever it happens, because whatever your child is going through, you are also going through right now, right? So times will always change, things will always change, but what will never change is your presence with your child. That will never change. Okay, that's my answer.
Thank you. How about you, Anusha?
As above, absolutely on point. Agreed, 100%. All angles covered.
Okay. Anyone has any question?
Yeah.
There is a question that was forwarded to our group. If a child's behavior is often a reflection of what they are experiencing inside, are we as adults doing enough to understand their silent struggles before we judge their actions? I think I did cover this. I think this one may have been posted before my session. So I think I did cover it in my session, where you need to know your child. Okay, and maybe Sister Anusha wants to speak more on that.
Yeah, no, it's covered. I mean, basically, we have to do the work for it. As in our presentation and our sharing earlier, we did say that we need to separate it between what we are feeling compared to what the child is going through. So to decipher why is the child behaving that way, our role as parents steps in very much in play in those moments. To understand the child, where is these big emotions coming from towards the child, rather than the child is behaving this way, that's a problem, the child is being difficult, labeling the child. So if the question is, have we done enough? Then only we will know the answer. So as parents, we need to ask ourselves, have we done enough? Have we sat with the child? Even with the telling lies, sometimes the child is telling lies because maybe out of fear. So why? Where's this fear coming from? I'm a good mom. I don't project any fear onto the child. So, but maybe the child is afraid elsewhere. Maybe the teachers yelled at the child. So the child feels the only way to cope is by telling lies. So that is our role, to penetrate and explore curiously with the child without judging, without conditioning that we have within us. So basically, to be a therapist for our child is our responsibility. Yeah. Anyone else wants to add?
Just to add one small bit, if you still feel there's something that you need to do and you really want to do something for your child, if you really want to understand your child, join the parent care program.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's a very
Because
good
the
point.
entire program is a one of a kind program focusing on how you can
Correct.
really understand this, whatever we've spoken to you over a period of time. So your brain gets to really soak in that awareness for some period of time. It doesn't force you. Like right now, what we're doing, we're giving you so much of information in a short period of time. So most likely your retention level is very low. But if during the parent care program, it's very well structured, it's one of a kind program, and I encourage everyone to join this, especially if you're a struggling parent, or even if you're not, you just want to know more about it.
Yes. Yes, I agree. We have several programs for parents as well, and not only the children and young adults, but we have a 6 weeks parent care program that we will have in June and July. So we'll share more about that to all the participants later. And yes, so any more questions? Otherwise, we come to the end of our Q&A session.
Yeah,
And
there's
so
another one
I
as well,
thoroughly,
sister.
enjoy what we have,
Mr. Doreen, Uma
have
saying
here
something.
today.
Uma wants to
Yeah,
say
there's
something.
Oh, you have a question, Uma?
Yeah, there's another question. Yeah. So beside breathing techniques that been taught earlier, what are the other daily practices that can help promote positive mental health for children at home?
Oh,
Exercise,
fantastic.
exercise,
Yeah,
exercise.
correct. So,
Physical movement.
correct. Physical movement is easy, and something easy is also journaling, gratitude. If your child can write, can journal, it really helps a lot to especially work on the prefrontal cortex, the reasoning part of why they do things, and then gratitude. Start to train your child from very young age to be grateful for what they have, to be more contented with what they have. So they feel this natural sense of ease rather than wanting something. I'm already happy here. I already feel comfortable with my parents. I know my parents can give me that safety. I have wonderful teachers at school. I have wonderful friends at school. Instead of complaining, we have a lot of people who complain, why did the Prime Minister give Chutti or Hari Raya? They're not thinking of positive, they're not thinking of small businesses, he's not paying. So many people say all this kind of thing, but they're not grateful that the fact that at least you have another extra day to rest, you have another extra day to sleep an hour longer on the bed and focus on yourself. So ultimately, right, it's the lens that you use. If you inculcate or teach your child gratitude, teach your child all this positive way of viewing life, the chances are that he or she will be able to have a positive outlook in life.
I'm going to add one. Stop yelling. That doesn't help anybody. Do not stop screaming at kids. That does not help. Another one is go out in nature. Forget movies. Go and do stuff. Do physical stuff with your kids. You don't like to exercise. I don't like to exercise. You see me, you know I don't like to exercise. Get into the car, drive to Morib, get out of the car, enjoy with your children in nature. Even if it's a little while, go have a picnic. Those type of things are simple but so important. And send your child to SSEHV, Satyasai Education Human Values Program. Send them.
I just want to add one last thing, very quick one. As our speakers have shared about connecting back to nature, having gratitude, I think what I do with my daughter is I identify what makes her excited. My daughter loves books. And so the best way I create positive energy around her is by doing what she likes. And so in our books and our story time together, I create that safe space for her so that she feels safe with me. And that's where the positiveness builds. Yes. Okay. I wanted to add that.
The last one is make them wait. Make them wait without their handphones. Okay. Delayed gratification is the greatest thing. It's a very safe factor that stops kids from getting into addiction, because they learn how to not expect gratification immediately. One of the most dangerous things about social media is that it takes away delayed gratification. It makes everybody impatient.
Instant, yeah. We have another question from a direct question. How do we always stay regulated? As parents, we have so much going on every day. Anusha wants to answer first. Like the question is, how do you always stay regulated? As parents, we have so much going on every day. I have something to say, but maybe we can hear from Anusha because she
Yeah, no,
spoke on
I
parents'
mean,
perspective. Yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. There's so much going on, and we're tired, we're exhausted, we're overwhelmed. Absolutely. But the moment we realize that we're not regulated, when we will know we're not aligned. We know internally we're feeling a whole turbulence, and externally we're just trying to survive it, you know. So in those moments, it's already an alarm clicking within us to say, hey, pause, come on, where is this feeling coming from? Why? So to process it, to pay attention to it, step one. The second one, and paying attention is not enough. You need to process it. Ask yourself why. The layers that we're talking about, the onions, I had it in my slide earlier. So when you peel these layers and you identify where is this coming from, when you stay, that helps you regulate what you're feeling. So you separate what you're feeling from what is happening in front of you. Then you don't combine it. You don't project your traumas. You don't project your negative coping mechanisms onto them. You don't label them. So that's where it's so important how we pause, we reflect, we take accountability for our feelings, and we regulate them. That's how we do it. But that's how I do it. Thank you, Brother Sabbitan. I'm curious to know what you have to add on.
Yeah. So
I want to
just
learn.
sometimes just like what Sister Anusha mentioned earlier, right? That she asked her child, what makes her happy, and then the child said books. So she does a lot of activities around books and around reading and all. So it creates a positive vibe. So find things which make you happy. What makes you happy as a parent? Don't sacrifice your. I mean, I know we have this thing about we need to sacrifice everything, but you're also a human being. You're also a mother. You're also a father. You also have heart. You also have brain. You have the same organs everyone have. You're pretty much just exact replica of your child. And the inner child of yours wants that attention. The inner child of yours wants that love. It wants you to care for yourself. And if you don't put that attention and care, some people like karaoke, different people have different things, how they regulate themselves. So I'm very sure you know what keeps you happy. If the thing that keeps you happy can actually include your children, then bring your children and go out to the nature and get yourself happy. But if the thing that makes you happy you cannot include your child in it, then you can send your child to your parents' house temporarily, just like what my sister does all the time, to send her child to my parents' house, and then she and husband will go somewhere, and then they'll come back regulated, and then after that, okay, start back again until she feels dysregulated, she'll send back again. So you just like Anusa says, you need the community to support you. You cannot do it by yourself. Find a family friend. You cope up. You help for them. And then you counting for them when they need it. Then they counting for you when you need it. So you need this kind of support system. That's a very important thing. Thank you for asking these questions.
Okay, let me just add a little bit. Number one, when you're really upset and you really are reaching a limit, you can tell your child, look, I really need a nap right now. I need a break right now. I'm going to go away for half an hour. I'll come back and talk to you after that. I need to sleep. You can tell them, and then go and do that. Take a break. Okay, tell them you need a break, and your kids will understand as long as you are taking breaks and you allow them also to take breaks. Okay. Another one is, and this is sometimes people forget to do this, choose to be happy, not because of the world, but in spite of it. Okay, choose, I'm going to be happy in spite of all these bad things, in spite of being overwhelmed, because the choice of not being happy is what?
A
You're going to be
dysregulated
depressed?
parent.
Yeah, so you said you choose to be happy in spite of the world, because somebody in your circle is going to be upset that you're unhappy, that you are happy. Somebody that knows you very well is going to be upset that you are, that you are doing well. So in spite of them, do well. Do well for yourself. Okay? And you'll find that sometimes a little bit of pettiness is not a bad thing. Okay, I'm not yet a saint, so I'm a bit petty.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sabbitan, Dr. Anasuya, and Anusha. I can see that you're getting all very excited during this Q&A, and it's good. But all good things have to come to an end, and I'm really appreciate each and every one of you, being here today. and also our audience, of course. And we have to end, but before that, I would like to pass on the audience back to our MC, Uma. Over to you,
Right,
Uma.
then.
Thank you, everyone. Hang
Thank you
on for
so
a few more
much.
minutes. We have something to share here. Yes.
Right. Thank you so much again for a wonderful moderator today, Sister Doreen. Now, brothers and sisters, let's welcome Sister Tara Menon, the State Education Coordinator, Center Chairman, and currently the National Wanita Coordinator of SSIOM, to deliver a closing address. Over to you, Sister Tara.
Hi, Ram. Good evening, everybody. I'm sure all of 65 of you online just now had a very informative and thoroughly uplifting session with the three speakers, Dr. Sabbitan, Dr. Anasuya, and Sister Anusha. So they took us through very elaborately through all the joys and challenges of parenting in this new millennium. So and also mentioned in passing about the Satisai Parent Care Program that has been running since 2005, 2005. So past 20 years, 2 decades. The trainers have had experience now, very well experienced trainers who do the program over 6 weeks. So people who have questions and who feel they need help with parenting, I really feel you should sign up for the parenting programs. I think one is starting in April in Bandar Klang, and the others will be coming up in June and July, as Doreen mentioned. So, Brother Dr. Sabbitan explained the science behind anxiety in children and how to tackle and help the child thrive. He showed us that anxiety is not really a new thing. It's just a new word that's being bandied about. It's not really a new thing. If in ancient times it was a tiger that made people anxious, nowadays it's probably a maths exam or a online predator for a child. So can you imagine if a child is allowed or has no control, who is has access to social media and technology without restraint, how will they be affected? Sister Anusha then took us through the psychological aspect of parenting, the energy parenting that we call, and she spoke about the psychic connection between parent and child. How can we sort out our emotions before we deal with our children? How can we be a clear, clean mirror for our child to reflect on or from? And Dr. Anasuya Jagdishan, she took us through the importance of how to play the parent role and not fall into the trap of being your child's friend. She showed us the 4 types of parents there are, and the need to explain and communicate with your child. Help them to understand why they need boundaries. Nowadays, governments have to step in when parents have lost the ability. Governments are stepping in to ban social media for children. So basically, to end the whole program today, get in touch with any of the organizers. Somebody, I thought I saw a question there. Is there a charge? No, there's no charge. Parenting classes here, there are no charges. You just have to go to attend all the 6 weeks. Ideally, both husband and wife attend the program, and that's the ideal session. So that's all for now. Thank you. Yeah.
Wonderful, Sister Tara. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing. And as Sister was saying, there were more questions also coming in. So for those who are interested to know more, you have more questions, as mentioned by Dr. Sabbitan as well in the chat box, we are inviting everyone here to attend the physical session that's going to held soon, Parenting, the Joy and Challenges of Parenting Today 5.0 at Sai School. So it will be a free session as well. So I hope to see all of you attended online, attend this session physically as well. So with that, thank you so much
It's on the
everyone for
5th of May.
joining.
Did we
Sorry,
mention
Sister
it's
Tara.
on the 5th of May? I think somebody's asking where can they join. So Sai School
It's
on
a,
the 5th of May.
yeah.
Yeah.
We will send to all participants for today's session And those who registered, the details once the flyer is finalized. Yeah. And those who are unable to join, we will also send the recording once it's ready. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for the information. I think Sister Anusha have sent a link as well. So for those who like to register for Psy Parent Care, as already been mentioned by Sister Tara and also other speakers, you can click the link and also register now. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining for today's talk. Have a good rest, good night, and bye bye. See you all again. Thank you so much, everyone.